I'm sure you thought that drive-in theaters were a thing of the past. I'm pretty sure my grandchildren have never been to one. But when I was a kid, we'd get dressed in our pajamas, get in the car, and Dad would drive us to the drive-in theater. We'd stay in the car all night, and then he'd take us home and take the little kids right to bed without even having to wake them because they were already in their pajamas. Well, now we're seeing that people are staying in their cars for having that social distance, but then also being able to come together to celebrate the life of a loved one and have mutual support as they mourn. So I'm Dr. Sheila K Collins. Welcome to The Art of Grieving, the Pandemic Edition. I'd like to talk with you today about the rituals and processes for funerals and bereavements that have been changing by this pandemic. And also, what is it we're learning from it? As with other restrictions during this sheltering at home, what is forbidden is helping us appreciate what we had and what's most important to us. So missing the opportunity to accompany a loved one as they are crossing, as they are dealing with being between the worlds, as the Native people talk about it. This can be a tragedy for a person who's dying and for the family members that want to be there with them. If you ever had that opportunity to be with someone at that time, I'm sure you would say, as I would, that it was a highlight of your life and also a highlight of your relationship with that person. Last January, a friend of mine came back from home after having been with her father when he crossed. She said it was a blessing, and she began to become very worried now about her mother, who's now in an assisted living situation, at high risk for the virus. But should she become ill, my friend would not be able to accompany her. The second issue, of course, is the curtailment of the ceremonies afterwards. That's another tragedy that denies the surviving family and friends the support and encouragement of one another and the inspiration that brings in the ongoing grieving process. I accompanied my best friend Rose in what turned out to be the 14 days of her crossing in the hospital. She was dying from breast cancer. It felt a sacred journey, the deepest of intimacies. I often say there is nothing that's happened in my life since then that I don't already know what Rose would say about it. I felt like I learned about her so deeply. It turns out that experience prepared me then to be with my son, my 31-year-old son, when he died of AIDS, in our home, in the living room, which we had turned into the dining room. Well, though it was 23 years ago, I still remember sitting next to my husband after his service, and I was very reluctant to leave. I described, it felt like the molecules of the air were filled with love, and I just wanted to stay there forever. My husband mentioned to me, well, that's where Ken is now. And that's a comfort to me even now. So what do we need in this time of aftermath of a lot of loss, and what version can we have now? It is true, from ancient times until now, people have been gathering together to support one another when somebody dies. And it assures us that we're not alone, and it helps us to appreciate that life does go on. These ancient rituals soothe our soul. So no matter when or how a person dies, I think we always want to be able to celebrate their life and have that connection with others that is such a healing bond. So I started off with the drive-in movie version, but there are other versions that we can do. It's hard for some elders, and I'm an elder, so I can speak this, to think about these Zoom funerals. But as an elder, I want to say a Zoom funeral is better than no funeral. And actually, in my far-flung family, before all this happened, one of our people had a live stream of the actual service. So there were people even then that couldn't travel, and they were able to attend. So desperate times call for desperate measures. And so what about sitting Shiva in front of the Zoom screen and having people stop by? I mean, we miss that touch, but we have to loosen our brains to not just have things exactly the way we're used to. I thought about an Irish wake. Okay, how could that happen? On Facebook Live, and then I did find the New York Times had an article about an Irish family in Ireland, and instead of going to the home, which is what would be the normal thing, and the church, they gathered outside on the road between the church and the cemetery, keeping their social distance. They were across from each other, and as the casket came by, they sang the woman home. So if we can loosen our brains at this particular time to recognize the goal of it all really is to honor those people who are leaving and to protect the lives of those people left behind. So stay well and safe till next time.